Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Fannin's Flashbacks, the podcast that nobody asked for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This podcast is going to cover tales from IWA Mid South during my 12 years with the company, and it will be a part of the BNMVS Podcast Network. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only due to the foul language and graphic details about deathmatch wrestling that it will contain. This will be your backstage pass to get a peek behind the curtain at what led to the downfall of the craziest independent wrestling promotion of the late 1990s, early 2000s. And without any further ado, Nick Manawa, hit the music. Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to this episode of Fannin's Flashbacks. It's the podcast episode that one person asked for, so I decided to give it to him. These are tales from IWA Mid South during my time with the company from 1997 to 2009, and I am joined today by, well, me. That's right, I'm the guest on today's podcast. So how is this going to work, you might be thinking? Well, I'm joined today by Trippin Balls, who is going to be the guest host for this edition, and he is going to be interviewing me. And he gets this privilege because he was one of the first people on the internet to put a seed into my head that there was a place in the wrestling business for me if I wanted to find it, that I wasn't the burnt bridge stalled 20 miles away that I thought I was, not in exile any longer. It was an exile that I put myself into, not that was forced upon me by everybody else. So he got me thinking that, well, maybe there's something I can do. Maybe there's a way I can find my lost smile somewhere. And just the way things happened, and through a lot of the clips that this talented young kid has put together and put out there, I sent him my DVD collection and had him put some stuff into the archives for me to have. He scared the shit out of everybody and made him think that Nick Manawa had passed away or something when he posted about it, the way that he had done his tweet. But I could see by you don't remember that. You had said something like Nick Manawa left you the collection that he had received or something. It was just the way that it said with people. There was like 2 or 3 people that had replied and was like, don't do that. I thought Nick Manawa passed away and left them to you in like his will or something. But it was, this podcast does not exist without the hand that Trippin Balls played into making me even think about wrestling again. So when he came to me and said, I've got questions that I've been dying to ask you for a long time, I felt he had earned the opportunity to have this chance. So he is your host. He is driving the show. How you doing there, Balls? Or
I'm doing well.
We don't want to say, you told me that beforehand, and here I am breaking it already. Tripping Balls. We don't want the kids to be offended for the group that you're working there in Kentucky if they tune in.
Oh yeah, down in Kentucky they told me I can't be tripping balls. I'm just tripping. The balls is offensive, but the tripping, that's completely normal down in Danville, Kentucky. We allow that.
I've heard that about Danville, Kentucky.
Yeah, it's a great place. But I'm a Twitter geek who was the son of a wrestler who worked IWA a few times back in the late 90s when you were running Lexington Crusher Bones, who was mainly working with your best friend Joe Bailey. And such luminaries as the Tower of Doom, who achieved great things in his life. Lived a great career that man had. But anyway, that was my brief affiliation with IWA personally. It was just my dad working. I'm looking it up right now. It was December 97 to March of 98. He worked 4 shows for IWA, 3 in Lexington, 1 in Louisville. worked Buddy Landell, Stephen Dunn, Ox Harley, Roland Hard. And I have a YouTube channel, Crush Your Bones Forever, which is full of all the matches that my dad had and recorded so many full shows as well. He wrestled everybody that you talk about, who you've covered: Corp, Bull Payne, Pondo. He wrestled dozens of times. He's been in the ring with Ox Harley, all those guys. So there's a brief. There is a connection there between the IWA crew, but what were your? If I could start with my first question, what were your memories of the Bad to the Bone wrestling presence when it came? Like when that promotion comes up, what do you think? I know it's not positive memories.
Well, how long do you have? Because this could go a long ways.
As long as at some point you cover the Atomic Dogs story, which I don't think you've talked about on this podcast, which is one of the greatest stories.
It might have been mentioned. So we will say this about Bad to the Bone Wrestling. The owner was a fat, disgusting, moronic, dingleberry piece of shit that Ian Rotten had to more than once keep me from just murdering in his sleep with
Joe Bailey.
For the record.
God rest his soul.
Exactly. I'm very surprised that I have never made a trip to Bardstown, Kentucky to take a shit on his grave. But it's, my time is valuable to me. So when I do actually get to make it to the lovely state of Kentucky, I want to see my friends. I don't want to go and water a grave to a man who isn't worth that amount of time. But he was the promoter for IWA Mid-South before I was. And with all the trouble that IWA and Ian Rotten was having with the state of Kentucky, Ian did not need extra trouble. And J.C. Bailey was underage. Joe Bailey wanted J.C. Bailey to wrestle on the shows, and Ian just said, I can't do that. I have too much heat on me. I can't give them another reason to throw me out of this state and shut me down. Just wait. And JC was almost 18 at the time. He was pretty damn close. And he was just
I have videos on my YouTube channel of old BBW shows where after the show you see JC hopping in the ring and just bumping around and just trying to have fun and stuff. Yeah.
Well, and I'm pretty sure
he definitely wanted it.
I think he wrestled on the show under a hood so they could lie about who it was that was wrestling so that they wouldn't be breaking the rules. And of course, the commission never bothered them and didn't go. But it was a simple request. Wait a few months until it's legal. Then he could have be on all the damn IWA shows that he wants. And Joe Bailey took that as some sort of personal affront and decided to, since the promoter's license was in his name, he went and created Bad to the Bone Wrestling, left Ian without a promoter to sanction the shows and be able to run in the state of Kentucky, and went off and started doing his Bad to the Bone stuff. And if it had been left at that,
yeah,
who gives a shit? Okay, you don't want to be with us anymore? Fine, go have your own go have your own promotion. Who cares? But he didn't leave it at that. He decided he's gonna turn us in for every single thing that he can turn us in on. He's gonna call fire marshals. He's going to call building zone commissions. He's going to call this. He's going to call that. He's going to call the armories. And then he's going to brag about doing it.
And he was doing a lot of the same stuff that IWA was doing on his own shows.
Doing everything that we were doing.
You can check
But
all that out on my YouTube channel, by the way, if you want all the BBW videos that aren't involving big beautiful women.
but at the time, IWA was drawing like 3, 4, 500 people a week in the Kmart building on Dixie Highway.
Yeah.
12 people were going to Bad to the Bone wrestling. We didn't care, and the commission wasn't one of the 12 that was there. So he'd do whatever the hell he want, and then he'd call and complain about everything that we were doing. So karma got a hold of him before I could, which is fine. And I don't think he was really worried about me until we were talking off air, or even maybe we had started rolling, and you said the Atomic Dog story. So we'll do the Atomic Dog story now.
That was at a Bad to the Bone show, one of the few that you were at, right?
That was at a Bad to the Bone wrestling show that I was at. Ian Rotten forced me to play nice and show up on these BBW shows and perform. And I kept telling him, I do not want to do this. I do not want to work for that motherfucker. I don't want to have anything to do with him. I don't want to be in the same building as him. I don't want to be in the same town as him. I don't want to be in the same world as him. I wanted him dead.
You think this was like 99, 98, something like
It had to have been, I'm thinking 99, because it was after we had gotten kicked out of Kentucky and we had not found a building in southern Indiana that we could run yet. So we were like in limbo, and there was no IWA shows. And Ian's like, let's work with him. Let's try to be nice to him. Let's be on his shows and help him. And maybe, just maybe, he will stop fucking with us and we can find a building and be able to run, and he'll leave us alone.
I see that August of '99, looking at Cage Match, it says there's a co-promoted show between IWA and Bad to the Bone at the Toy Tiger Theater in Louisville that also has Atomic Dog listed as wrestling there. Do you think that could have been?
I believe the Toy Tiger sounds right for the venue, so it could be that. It very well could be that show. There was a handful of shows that we did. I know there was like some town we ran in, there was like a battle royal, and for some reason there was some manager on BBW shows that he had working with me, and I can't even remember who the guy was that we were sharing that made us work together, but we both entered this battle royal and like quickly got eliminated. And
was it the dude in the judge gimmick?
Was not the judge. It was something else. There was another. I cannot even begin to remember the guy's name. He was built a lot like me, sort of looked like me.
The Rick?
It was not the Rick. I know the Rick. I know the Rick from his time in IWA.
I know he was doing BBW shows at that time period.
This was just somebody that I did not know.
Oh, gotcha.
And like I said, we were in this battle royal together. We both got eliminated. I think it was at like a community center or some kind of a school, because if I remember correctly, we were able to get batting helmets from whatever was there, and we put batting helmets on to go into the battle royal so we wouldn't get hurt. Because I had never been in the ring at that point, other than when Bull Payne had beat me up at April Blood Showers. So I hadn't done like any kind of match or anything. So I think I had the batting helmet on. I tried to do like Mr. Perfect from Saturday Night's Main Event, battle royal type stuff, where I just kept rolling under the bottom rope and being out on the floor, and then coming back in and trying to take advantage of something. And I stayed in the battle royal a hell of a lot longer than I should have by doing that. Never did anything to anybody, had the helmet on, and got gently thrown over the top rope because I didn't know what I was doing, and they didn't want to kill me going over the top rope to the floor. So it was as gentle as could be. I remember that happening at a show, but I cannot remember like what the town was or what that guy's name was. But then there was the show where the thing happened with Atomic Dog, and I was managing Roland. Roland wrestles Atomic Dog on the show.
Okay.
Mean and Hard was not formed at that point, I don't think, or Mitch was not at that particular show. I was managing J Prodigy and I was managing Roland. And we both went out to the ring with Roland on the show. At the time, so Mean and Hard was a thing, but I don't think Mitch was at this particular show because I think Roland Hard was the IWA champion at the time, and Atomic Dog was the BBW champion at the time. And the entire night, me and Ian are talking to Atomic Dog, and we're like, hey, man, that last show we were at, you looked talented. I think you got something to you. Watch some Arn Anderson, pick like an arm, maybe a leg, work it over in the match, do a style that's similar to Arn Anderson, and you might have a future. There might be something in this. You've got a look, you've got a gimmick. Maybe you can go far, pattern yourself a little, just watch this, watch Arn Anderson, do that. And he's like sitting there going, oh, thanks guys. That's great. And then later in the night, me, Roland, J Prodigy, we're going over the match with Atomic Dog, talking with him. And it's like, okay, we're going to be out here. We're going to do this. We might do this. We might reach in and trip you, whatever. My thing when I manage is I am supposed to do everything in my power to help my guy win. So if you get within arm's length of me, I'm going to try something because that's what I'm there to do. Otherwise,
he understood that.
Otherwise, I look stupid. And he was like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
And I'm like, it is on the wrestler. If you guys have something planned out and I swipe at your leg and you've got something else to do, no sell it. I'm not going to get mad, but I have to do something. If you're out on the floor, I need, I would give a forearm to the back, because I'm supposed to, it's my job to get you off my guy. So I'm going to hit you, and then it's up to you. You can shrug it off. You can turn around and growl at me, and I'll run away. Or you can sell it, and my guy can take over, however you want to do it. I don't care. But I shouldn't have to call to you that, hey, you got your back to me. Expect that I'm going to do something, because that's what I'm there for. And so the match is happening 2 or 3 times. I think J Prodigy tripped him once. I think I gave the world's weakest forearm to him at one point, and Atomic Dog wins the match. He wins. Keeps his title. He's still the BBW champion. We go to the back. Atomic Dog comes into the back. Atomic Dog just blows his mind. Just out of his mind, screaming that we tried to fuck him. And we're like, what the hell are you talking about? You tried to steal my title. And I looked him right in the face and I said, are you still the fucking champion? And he goes, yes. And I said, then shut the fuck up. What are you even talking about? What are you even talking about? How did we try to fuck you if you're still the champion? Well, there was no reason for 2 people to be out there. And again, I looked right at him. I said, motherfucker, for an hour, we talked about this match. The 3 of us to you. What do you mean there shouldn't have been 2 of us out there? You knew. No, you were trying to pull a fast one and steal the title from us and take it to your show. And I said, dude, if that's what we wanted to do, you wouldn't be champ right now. And he's like, well, I didn't let you. That's why. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck ever. And I just walk away. I'm like, you're obviously a fucking idiot. I've got nothing else left to say at that point. So I walk away. And then he goes after Ian. And he flips a table over. And Ian's just sitting there. Ian hadn't even said anything at this point. Wasn't even involved in the match. We were heels. Ian was a babyface. Ian wasn't even out there. And he's flipped this table over and he's screaming at Ian. And Ian's like, dude, what is the problem? And he's like, I'm gonna whoop your ass. You're in here trying to fucking take over and all this other stuff. And Ian's like, I was giving you advice and trying to help you earlier. I wasn't even in your match. What is going on? And so everybody's gathered round at this point. And like Tracy Smothers is in there, everything else.
And Atomic Dog like putting things up his nose, right? That was kind of the vibe.
That's what I've
heard.
That's the rumors that I've heard is that
yeah.
he was a coke fiend.
Yeah.
I didn't see him do it, so I don't know.
That's why I brought it up. I've still heard
the man's dead now, so he can't.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
As far as I know, Tracy Smothers always told me, yeah, man, they shot him dead in Chicago. You know that, right? And Tracy always said that the guy got killed in the projects. And I was like, I don't know, Tracy. I have no idea. I don't know. But I'd like never heard.
Tracy's also Mickey Knuckles' father, so who knows?
Right. So that's what Tracy always told me. I've never seen this guy since this night. Don't know anything. But anyway, to get back to the story, that's very long-winded at this point. He's like threatening Ian. Again, what can Ian do? Now, I'm not going to say that Ian wasn't scared. I don't know what was going through Ian's head. I can tell you that Ian knew that if he did anything, it meant the license for IWA.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So I know he just sat there, and I was like, "Fuck this!" So I got in the middle and like started screaming at him again, and Atomic Dog like punches me 4 times.
Oh shit!
Punches me right in the face, and I stood there, no-sold everything, and kicked him in the balls. And he no-sold that. And I threw my hands up and I was like, okay, I don't know what else to do. If that did nothing, I've got nothing. And at that point, then Corporal came rushing in, and Corporal and Dog are, exchanging fists. Tracy, a couple other guys finally get it broke up, and Atomic Dog says that he's going and getting his people and his guns and that he'll be back. Like Joe Bailey calls the cops. The cops come. The cops are talking. The cops are like, so a guy threatened to shoot you because of a disagreement over wrestling? And we're like, yeah. And they were like, they did not believe us. They thought that we were just wasting their time. So the cops leave. Everybody else is worried that Atomic Dog's going to show up with drive-by shooting and Uzis and AKs and ARs and whatever the hell else. And everybody's scared to death. And at the time, I guess there was like twice before that Dog had gotten into it with somebody in the locker room, and he like knocked them out. There was some big guy on the BBW show. Again, I don't know names, but he had punched and knocked the guy out. So like all the BBW guys were just scared to death of Atomic Dog. And so Joe Bailey lost his mind that I A, stood up to him, B, withstood punches from him, and C, like fought back and then was not scared when he threatened to go get guns and come back. So he just kept going to Ian. I didn't realize he was that crazy. He's like, that Jim Fannin is fucking crazy. And Ian's like, yeah, don't piss him off. And I thought maybe that would get Joe Bailey to stop being a fucking prick, but it did not. He kept up doing all this fucking bullshit. But after that, Tracy Smothers would tell every soul that he saw, if I was within eyesight of Tracy Smothers, everybody heard how I was the toughest damn ring announcer in the business and that I had beat Atomic Dog's ass And each time he told the story, the number of times I beat Atomic Dog's ass grew. It was like, I beat his ass 12 times. I beat his ass 14 times. I did it. And I remember at one point I stopped him and I was like, Tracy, I didn't beat him up. I kicked him in the nuts and it didn't even phase him. And Tracy was like, Jim, 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 Jim. Dude, everybody in that locker room scared of him, man. Everybody's scared of him. And he punched you 4 times, man. You ain't even trained, Jim. Jim, 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 Jim. You stood up to him, and you're not even a trained fighter, and you stood up to him. So you whooped his ass. He had no credibility in that locker room the day he messed with Jim Fannin. He lost all credibility. You showed him up. That means you whooped his ass 20 times over. And he's like, he was done. He's done. And I was like, okay, Tracy, tell the story. And after that, I would never interrupt Tracy when he'd tell the story, and I'd just do it. And until the last time I saw Tracy Smothers, which was at a NWA Legends convention, like 2-3 years after I had left the business, and I hadn't seen Tracy for probably about 5 years at that point. Tracy comes walking in late, like he always did, carrying all of his gimmicks, and he had just started doing the thing with Mickey as his daughter, as Isabella Smothers or whatever.
Yeah.
They had just started doing that, so Mickey was with him, and Tracy dropped all of his gimmicks and ran up and gave me a big hug, and Virgil was standing there. Who was with Virgil? It was like 2 other WWF guys from like around that period. Might have been Valentine and somebody else. But he told them the story. And then he told the guy that owned High Spots, because I think he was going to the High Spots table to set up his gimmicks. So whatever the High Spots guy was, he's telling Virgil, Greg Valentine, probably like IRS or something, and then the High Spots guy, how I was the toughest goddamn ring announcer in the business, and he, word for word, telling the story over again, and they're all sitting there going, "Okay, Tracy, okay, Tracy." and then
that was the last time you saw him.
And that was the last time that I ended up seeing him.
Did you ever like talk to him at all through social media at all after that, or was that the end of your Tracy Smothers?
That was the end of my Tracy Smothers experience at that.
Yeah.
Because at that point,
what a great ending, though.
What a great ending. I got to see him one last time. He autographed a picture for me that day and gave it to me. It was him as a young pistol, or whatever they were calling it wasn't the Southern Boys. It was when they had the guns. So Young Pistols, is that what they were with the guns?
Yeah, and they had the Confederate jackets on and stuff like that.
In the picture, he doesn't have the jacket. He just has like the yellow and brown tights that have the guns on it. So I think it would, if Young Pistols is what they were called, it was from that. And he autographed it to the toughest damn ring announcer in the business. And then he like signed it with Tracy, and it's like I still have that today, in with my other autographs that I've collected. But that's the Atomic Dog story, and we're an hour in, and you're on like question 2.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions in.
Yes.
Okay, third question, or actually, yeah, here's a little nonsense question, a silly question. When did Ian get the fucking Grinch tattoo with the barbed wire bat? Do you remember that? Like when that would have happened? Or like, did he ever explain the meaning behind it?
I mean, I was there when he got it. Time-wise, it had
or just like, what did it mean? What was the significance behind it? Really, is what I wanted. Like, did he ever say like, this is what this means to me?
Well, he was known for the barbed wire bat. Him and Axel were like the first ones.
Yeah, I get that.
Barbed wire bat, and we were Grinches. You know, we were Grinch. You know, we were assholes.
Okay, I
And the
didn't know if
Grinch.
he just had like a
So
weird, like a fondness for the Grinch, and
it maybe it was like, but I mean, it was like our personality. We were Grinch. I'm I tell everybody every year when they're doing the holiday parties at work and stuff, I'm a Grinch. I don't want the music on. I don't want the, you know, just this year, every time my boss would come in to work, we had like the Christmas tree up, and they they had just put in these speakers that they could play the Christmas music, and he would come in every day, and I wouldn't have the lights on the tree, I wouldn't have the music going, and he'd be like, James, you need to we need to festive this up. And I'd say, okay. And he'd go back and put his stuff in his office. And then he's got to walk back past the desk to like go use the bathroom. And I would either have the Grinch song, the Dominic the Donkey, or Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. Those would be the only three songs that I would play as he would like walk past, and he'd be like, that is not the spirit I was looking for. I was like, well, that's all you're going to get out of me. I'm sorry. So the Grinch might have meant a little something more to Ian at that point, but that was pretty much the nuts and bolts behind it. It was done by some guy that worked at a tattoo shop in Bloomington, Indiana. I think his name was like or something like that. And I mean, I think the statute of limitations is up on this. So it was like that end of late 90s before we had gotten our own building. And
okay.
and we were trying to get a theater in New Albany, Indiana. There was like some theater that had closed down that was
I
supposed to be like
I
some
I, ha-
big thing.
I have footage of a theater that shows that my dad was working in like 98, 99, 98, 97 of a theater in New Albany. I don't know if that would have been the same
It
theater, but
probably is the same theater. There was like some big Brent Blades might remember it. I could like. Do you ever talk to Brent Blades online at
no,
all?
but
So
he's an exploding deathmatch legend though.
I will reach out to him. You might have to remind me by the time this is done next Wednesday. Uh, I will reach out to him because I specifically remember like him and his buddy Dropkick like helping at this place. But let's just say that is into things that were not legal, as far as selling, trafficking, maybe things that went and things that like what you were talking about Atomic Dog about.
Fun stuff, man. Fun
fun
stuff,
fun
man.
stuff. And he was looking for a way to maybe clean, maybe launder
Oh,
some of that kind of money from that. And so he had like put a lot of money into trying to get us to do weekly shows in this theater in New Albany, and I cannot for the life of me remember. I'm thinking Grand Theater, but I don't know for sure. But it was some famous theater, and we put a lot of time and effort into trying to get this building up. So Ian was going to Bloomington, Indiana, and getting tattoos from this guy. It was where he got most of his first run of tattoos at was through Poke Salad Annie. I don't know, whatever this guy's name was. And he was getting these tattoos. The Grinch barbed wire bat one was one. But we were trying, before we ended up with the Charlestown Blue Barn building, we were going to have this theater in New Albany. And I think the feds started investigating this guy, and he disappeared into thin air, and the tattoos dried up, the money dried up, and there was no no theater. So then we eventually ended up at the Charlie. But I will reach out to Brent Blades and try to figure out what the name of that theater was. He might remember, because like I said, I remember him and his buddy Dropkick spent a lot of time um, at this place trying to help clean it up and get it ready to where we could run shows. And I remember mosquitoes were really bad. We were sitting there and these mosquitoes were eating us alive. And Dropkick and Brent smoked cigarettes. So Ian asked them for a cigarette so he could light it up and like hope that the smoke would get the mosquitoes to leave us alone. And Dropkick was like, "You smoke cigarettes too?" And I just wrote, he was like just so surprised that Ian would smoke a cigarette, and I was like, okay, but yeah, that's what I remember of that building. But I don't beyond that, I don't really know exact time frame. It had to have been '99 at some point when he got the
All
Grinch.
right, cool. So, to switch directions, uh, Ted Petty, Rock a Rock. Obviously, he named the tournament after him once he passed away. How come he only worked that one show? Was there ever more attempts to try to bring him back, or
Not when I was around. I think by the time I got involved, they were like bouncing between like WCW, WWF. So they
yeah?
had like contract deals, and so they weren't available at that point. And then it was just I don't know, maybe probably had to do with not having the money to bring them in. But
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a story there because obviously there's like yeah, I mean TPI Ted Petty, but he only worked that one match with Bull Payne and Bull's all split open and shit. That was good
right,
stuff.
but I mean, Bad Breed and Public Enemy had a great feud going in ECW, so Ian had super respect. And knowing the way Ian thinks, he probably, yeah, I mean, because he did the Eddie Gilbert Memorial. Um,
Yeah.
he was a let's let's put a legend's name on it, and maybe the fans will be more interested. A way to make a buck, kind of thing, because it wasn't like he was sending money to Ted Petty's family and
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
here's money in the honor of. He just named it, and
Gotcha.
think it was a way to try to make it fans more interested in it.
Okay, I was fascinated by the stories of the piss bucket in Charlestown.
Whew.
So like, where was that emptied? Where do you empty a thing like that? Where do you dump that into a toilet and just like slowly flush it? Like what the fuck is the
You dump it into the. We would dump it into the toilet in the Charlestown barn, and like it would. There'd be so much that it would flush the toilet on its own and cause it to flush. And so then you'd have to like wait and do it again.
yeah, okay, it's
Sometimes,
one of those
sometimes,
deals. Yeah,
something like it was in stages, kind of deal. Every once in a while, they would take it outside and just dump it out back.
yeah.
Um, but that was the most disgusting thing in the world. And to
Sounds like it.
watch, to because it literally go to Home Depot and they've got the 5 gallon buckets in the paint department.
Yeah,
It was that. Home Depot Mike brought him a 5 gallon Home Depot bucket, orange bucket. You can go on the Home Depot website and see it.
yeah.
I think I even posted a picture of a Home Depot orange bucket uh, on the Brent Blades episode when that had come out. I think one of my tweets I had put like a just an empty bucket of that, and it would be filled to the brim by the end of a show. It would be filled to the brim, and there would be just disgusting stuff floating in there.
Yeah. All
Um,
right. Hell yeah.
and
Hell yeah.
and like we've said on previous episodes, like whoever the low person was on the totem pole would be tasked with having to do it. And I will freely admit that time frame of IWA, the only paydays I was getting was from Brent Blades and others paying me for me to dump it so they wouldn't have to.
I've heard you talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
old piss bucket Jim, they called you, right?
that's probably exactly what they were calling me, and that was the money I made in the wrestling business inside my first 7 years in the business. The only money I made was
piss bucket money.
Piss bucket money. So
I've heard Ian in a couple interviews talk about that Psycho Sam Cody was supposed to win the 2001 King of the Death matches. Do you know anything about that, or do you have any memories of Sam Cody?
I have a few memories of Sam Cody. I know he came in and did a few shows. I think it was either the Tower of Doom shows in Ohio.
Real deal. Yeah.
Real deal. It was either that or maybe it was Bad to the Bone. It was one of those two companies.
It was Real Deal. Real Deal.
Okay, so we had seen him at the Real Deal shows. Ian liked him, brought him in. He liked the little gimmicks of you got a crazy old man, and then you got the crazy old woman Delilah Star that he would bring in and have on shows. He liked that kind of thing. So was Sam Cody supposed to win? I have no idea. I wasn't privy to stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I think there was some legal issues that Sam had that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember that being, that's what Ian said in whatever interview I'm reminiscing on.
Okay. Well, if Ian said it, then that's probably not how it happened. But,
I wanted to ask you.
But I do not very rarely, especially then, very rarely did I get involved in the booking aspect of things.
I just didn't know if that was something you'd heard talked about or brought up, or
I've heard
Sam Cody in.
I've heard the same stories that you've probably heard, and whether there's truth to it or not,
gotcha.
Who knows?
Is Sam Cody how Delilah Star got involved with IWA, or
no? Delilah I know came from BBW. She was on those BBW shows, and she was the sweetest lady.
She was just fucking cracked in the head, fucking crazy. I can't believe
And she was the most.
I was taken aback by the shit when I go back and watch her shit. She was beating the fuck out of.
And she was the most religious person. One of the most religious persons that I knew in my life. One of my best friends from when I was
she's
growing.
Passed away, right? Delilah Star.
I have no idea. I don't know if I don't know if she'd passed or not. I've never heard. But she was a sweetheart. She was very religious. I think her husband might have been a preacher.
Gotcha.
If I remember correctly,
she got into the hardcore.
Yeah, she was like, I think she was with the judge on those BBW shows. I think she was in his stable, and Ian met her there, and she begged Ian to let her do the hardcore stuff, and Ian did not want to. Not want to.
That was the first woman that he let do that.
That was the first woman that he let. Well, yeah. I mean, Sherry Martel and Debbie Combs would do that
was the first woman that was wrestling.
But death match, and to be able to do it with everybody was Delilah Star, and she was a very sweet woman. She was great to be around, and she was a sweetheart. And I don't know why she stopped coming to shows.
Yeah, it was very brief. Just a few months in 2000 or whatever that she was a part of, regularly wrestling shows and stuff.
Yes, I don't know what happened to cause her
Yeah.
to stop. I know maybe it was injury. I'm not sure, but she was a sweet, sweet woman and was a joy to be around. I don't know. Maybe somebody knows and can reply afterwards and let us know what ended up happening to her.
Who designed the logo behind you? Who designed that IWA logo? Do you have any recollection of that or where it came from?
I I don't know. I can't even remember. I
It's such a great fucking logo.
It's a great logo. I don't know who we had do it.
Yeah.
It might have been the logo almost. Well, it wasn't right. It could be Vince Jones that did it.
Okay.
It
I
could.
actually have a Vince Jones related question, believe it.
Okay. It could have been Vince
Do you have
Jones.
any memories? Okay, so since I had said that, do you have any memories of the commentators like Vince Jones, Michael Z, those guys that were doing IWA shows around that time period? Or
Did Vince
draw
Jones
a
do
blank?
commentary?
Or I'm not thinking about Vince. I'm thinking about Ben Jordan.
Ben
Sorry,
Jordan.
Ben Jordan.
So, I mean, I was okay with Ben. I thought Ben was all right. He got better as he went along. He was good friends with the Tomasellis. Um, maybe
Gotcha.
maybe even related to the Tomasellis. I'm not sure, but I
Do you
know he
think
was.
that was there too many Tomaselli matches? Was there too much of the Tomasellis? Did they overdo the Tomasellis?
I don't think
You,
I don't think so. I actually liked the Tomasellis. I thought that they were really good. I liked what they did. I thought they took it seriously. I think they had pride in what they were doing. I liked the concept, and I was a fan of their stuff. I had no problems with the Tomasellis whatsoever.
because it just they were like main event or very upper mid card for like a long time there for IWA. It seemed like they had a lot of they were feuding with. But yeah, because I asked about the Tomasellis because they were like such a big fixture in the IWA for like a lengthy period of time, and I know some people were like, "What the fuck?" It's a lot of Tomasellis, but
And like I say, I had no problem with them. I liked them.
yeah,
Um,
I'm just asking because yeah, like I said, I remember they were just such a prevalent part of IWA during that period.
the
It
before you
might
lost
make you laugh.
connection, you had asked about Michael Z. I love Michael Z. Michael Z was great. I loved working with him.
Yeah, he had a
Uh,
great voice for that shit. I don't know whatever happened to him. Like
yeah, I'm not
I enjoyed
sure.
listening to him.
I know that I enjoyed working with him. He deserved to have had better of me because
Oh yeah, you were checked out
he
that
was
bad
at the
time.
time that I was checked out bad at that point. So I mean he had to carry me through a lot, which just made his job harder, and that's not fair to him. But I actually did enjoy him. It was everything else around it that was
Yeah.
making me not want to be there. It had nothing to do with him.
Do
Um,
you remember it? One of the DVDs that you passed on to me when Nick Manawa died was was there's a TV taping that was recorded in January of 2009 in Joliet that I don't know any further details on it other than I saw the DVD. I like where was that supposed to air? Why didn't it air? What do you remember any of that, or was you were so far fuck this that you don't even you blacked it out?
at that point in time, it was definitely fuck all.
Yeah,
So I don't remember specifics. I know there, people will be surprised that there was a TV show like in 97,
yeah, the
early
Vampiro stuff.
98, the
Yeah,
Vampiro stuff. There actually was a TV show aired for a few months
where
and
was that aired?
on like a public access channel. And
Like Louisville, or like do you?
yeah, it was like in Louisville. I think it might have been the same station that was like airing Skull Talk.
Right.
kind of thing. It was like that. And so it wouldn't be listed in the TV guide, and it wouldn't be listed in the TV guide channel. If you turn to, we're so, you're a youngin, you probably don't remember the TV guide channel, but there
Oh
was a
no, I do. No, I'm not
okay,
that
you
young.
remember,
I'm not
okay.
turned 30. Yeah, I'm on the older side of young.
Okay, well, there's definitely might be somebody out there listening that has no clue what the TV Guide channel was, but there was an actual TV channel dedicated to where it would do nothing but roll the what was airing nonstop.
Yeah.
And if you didn't want to pay $3-4 to get the TV Guide from the grocery store when you're at the checkout line, you would go to the TV Guide channel and you'd sit there and you watch, and if the channel that the IWA TV show would was on came up on the TV Guide channel, it just said paid programming.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
were in infomercial, and it would just say paid programming, and so nobody would know that. Hey, I'm going to turn that on and see that it's wrestling. And so because of that, Ian didn't. It wasn't. It didn't increase crowd. It didn't help in any way. It was costing money. It was costing like a couple $100 a week to buy the time slot to air this, and it was not doing any good because it was just the people that were already coming that knew it existed that were watching it. So he dropped it, and then
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however many times he could get away with it. After that point, he would then run a TV taping so he can make a pilot to. I'm going to give it to I've got 2 channels that are interested in airing me, and we're going to do this, and I really need you to come in for free to work this show, so that we could have our best foot forward on this pilot and have our best wrestling and give it to this people, and then magically there would never end up. Oh, the pilot, they didn't like the pilot. Was every time a scam? I don't know, because I wasn't the one. I never dealt with the TV people.
Yeah.
Would I trust that there was ever a TV deal lined up? No. No, I would not. But do I know enough to bet my life on it? I'm not a gambler, so no, I would not bet my life on it. Other people I know are some hardcore gamblers, and they'd bet their life on winning having a pair of 2s. They'd bet their life on it that they were going to win that hand, and lo and behold, the house always wins. So
Was the cowboy from hell actually from hell? Like, how did Ian bring him in from hell? Like, how was that arranged? Like, that was. It seems like it would be difficult to bring him in for King of the Death. I think it was '02. He's from hell.
not difficult.
Hell.
Not difficult at all.
That's
Not difficult at all.
yeah. Ian's got connections down there.
I have been there. It's in Michigan. It's a forest. It's an ice cream shop. I have a picture of me and my wife outside the ice cream shop with the sign that says "Welcome to Hell." Next door to the ice cream shop, there is a general store that has a post office in it. You can go in, buy a postcard. They will take a lighter and singe around the sides of the postcard to make it look like it has been through flames, and it will be postmarked hell. And you can send it to whoever you want. I sent it to my aunt, who gave it, and her grandkids saw it and started crying, thinking that their Uncle Jimmy was in hell. And she was like, "Don't you ever do that again."
And you're like, no, I left hell back in '09.
You can actually be the mayor of hell for one day. At least when my wife and I went, which granted was probably 15 years ago now. You might have to look it up on the internet, but they had a thing where you could pay money. You would be the mayor of hell for one day. And at the end of the day, the citizens would come and overthrow you and throw you out of the city hall and kick you out, and you would be removed from office after one day as mayor. So not very hard to get a cow. You just have to wait there long enough to see a cowboy, and then you can have a cowboy from hell.
What was your least favorite venue that the IWA ran regularly?
Oh my goodness, so many. I hated I hated Olynyk because it was it was so far out in the middle of goddamn nowhere that it just sucked going to. I hated it.
Yeah.
It was also evidently at one point they claimed, and I don't know how historically accurate this is, but they claimed at one point that they were like one of the founding cities of the Ku Klux Klan. And I remember we were, it was Lamangelo and Orangelo.
Bro, I got a question. Lamangelo and Orangelo, the Muslims in training. Why? That's one of my questions. I'm glad you brought why.
Well,
Where did that come from?
Let me finish the one story. So I'll
after that, but please go back to that.
So they were going to be on the show in Olynyk, and we had a flyer. So we had a picture of these two black guys on the flyer, and we went to a couple of stores in Olynyk and asked to put it up. And they looked at us like we were the dumbest human beings on the face of the earth. And they were like, we cannot put that in our window. And we said, why? And they told us, this town was one of the founding towns of the Ku Klux Klan. We cannot have two black guys on a flyer in our window. We will lose our business. And so again, I don't know the historical accuracy of that. It could have just been the owners of those two stores could have been racist pricks and not wanted the flyer. And so they blamed it on the, history of the town. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I was there handing them the flyer. They told it to me, so I know it was told to me. So at least some of the people in Olynyk claimed it, and it was not a place that I liked to go to. So that will be my least favorite that we ran regular, because we did do several shows there.
Okay, just jumping all over the place.
But
do you want the
Orangelo? So, these two guys, they come in and they want to work IWA, and Ian gets high one night and just thinks that it would be fun. You've probably heard a ton of the stories about 420 booking, and
hell yeah.
They are very true. It's just Ian getting high one night, and he's like, what if we called them Lamangelo and Orangelo? And like maybe somebody else in the smoke circle or whatever you guys call that stuff. I'm straight edge. I wouldn't be involved in it. I'd go outside or leave, not even be there. But he came up with it while he was high one night and thought it was funny. And Ian Rotten's motto was, if it's funny to me, that's good enough. That's all it needs to be, is funny to him. And so he went with it. And I know that both of those guys, God bless them, I can't remember their shoot names. I know they did not like the Lamangelo or Orangelo, but they wanted
Muslims
to be
in training.
I think they were okay with the Muslims in training. I think they were okay with that part, but I know they hated the Lamangelo and Orangelo, but they went along with it because they wanted to be in IWA. They thought that it would further their career, and I don't think it did. I don't know what they went on to do afterwards, probably because it was such a shitty gimmick that it ruined them. But if they ended up making it, hey, great, they made the right choice. I know they hated the names, and it was just something that idiot got high and thought that was a great idea when it wasn't.
It's all I just remember back when before I ever saw this footage, just reading these names. Arangelo Lamangelo. What like just trying to wrap my brain around it. But to go to a completely different subject, you were around this person who's kind of controversial towards your end period of IWA, Billy Graham. Any Billy Graham stories? Half-breed Billy Graham.
I think I told it on the Toby episode. I'm not sure if you've made it. I know you were behind on your list.
That's where I'm at next.
Okay, so it is in the Toby episode. I tell the story of I guess it was the 500th show.
Okay, I've seen that. I've seen that show.
And yep. It's Mean and Hard's last match against Vulgar Display of Power with Billy Graham as the manager. And Billy Graham walks in and tells me, I'm a huge fan. I'm honored to be working with you tonight. I want to take a thumbtack bat shot from you. I saw what you did to Jimmy Jacobs with the barbed wire bat. I want to take 2 thumbtack bat shots from you. And I looked at him and I said, you want 2? And he goes, yes, I want to take 2. I really want to take 2. And I looked him dead in the face and I said, you told me you saw what happened to Jimmy Jacobs. And he said, yes, that's why I want this. This would be an honor to do. And I said, you realize that I have to swing it like I swung it on Jimmy Jacobs. I'm not going to go light on you. I'm known for this. I'm not going to ruin what I'm known for to take it easy on you. And he goes, I realize this. I was like, okay. And you want 2? And he said, yes, I want 2. We get out there and I hit him with the first one. And to this day, I love Smart Mark to death. Love Smart Mark to death. They saved IWA. They saved me from having to try to save IWA for several years by coming in and taking over with and making us one of the super indies out there with all the DVD sales and VHS sales. So I love Smart Mark. But by God, they pissed me off that night because they did not get the bat shot. And it's my fault. I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them beforehand, and I could have told them, hey, when me and Billy get into it on the floor, make sure you catch it. They don't catch it. You do hear, like, whoever it was on commentary at the time, you can hear them mention
probably Michael Z and somebody.
Yeah, whoever it was. I've only watched it like maybe twice since it happened. You hear them say, oh my God, Jim Fannin just hit Billy Graham with the thumbtack bat, but you never see it. You never see it. They don't, there's no video footage of it.
But you laid that shit in?
But I laid that shit in, and then I bent down to pick him up by the hair, and he looked up at me and he said, I changed my mind. 1 was enough. And I'm like, no, you asked for 2. You are getting 2. That's the price you pay.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah.
And then we like struggled, and since it's not on camera, I cannot remember if I hit him that second time or not. I know somebody in the crowd took photos, and they sent. I do have a couple of photos where he's bloody and on the floor and fighting for his life to not be picked up, and I've got him by the hair. And I cannot remember whether I got him up and delivered that second shot or not. But I was not going to let him change his mind. You asked me for 2, you're going to get 2, but I don't know if he actually did get the second one. So I may owe you another bat shot, Billy Graham. I may owe you.
Okay, What's the meanest thing you've ever heard Ian Rotten say to somebody?
Oh my God. Um, I don't want to. My God, that's some of the things I've heard him say.
I know. That's why I got to ask. I didn't know if there was
It's
one thing that like stuck with
there's
you over the years.
there's not one thing that has stuck with me. Um, there's been a lot
What's
of
the meanest
things.
thing he ever said to you that you're like, fuck, man, I don't even want to be around. Like, what was the like? You get what I'm saying?
Right. I think I mentioned it with Kickboxer. Um,
Okay.
what really, and I mean, for the most part, I mean, he kissed my ass pretty well and was nice to me because he needed me and needed my money. Um, the one thing that always stood out to me was, and I had brought it up on the Kickboxer episode, was just that Morris show, the first Morris show,
Okay. Yeah.
and I would call it my show, and that pissed him off so bad
Yeah. Okay. I
that
remember.
and
I
then
remember
he
that.
and then he like cut a promo on me and he was like, motherfucker, if it's your show, then you book these guys, you figure out how to get the ring there, you figure out what to pay these guys, and you pay, I'll tell you what I'll charge you to be on this show, and don't you ever call it your show, this is my show. And it was just this, like, always
Yeah.
an ego power trip where, motherfucker, there is no show if it's not for me. I'm the
Yeah.
one that went to school there. I'm the one that reached out to the coach. I'm the one that got us in there. I'm the one that kept us there when, the superintendent, there was no insurance and the superintendent was going to cancel the show on the day of the show. I was the one that smoothed that over, my show.
Yeah. I mean,
And
stuff like that. Stuff like that is why, like, you got to understand, like, you were working with rough fucking people. Like, you can't bear the weight of all that shit. Like, you aren't in. You weren't in. You were your own fucking person. You didn't. You have your place, fucking Jim Fannin. God damn it, you have your place, and I hope you don't. I hope you're learning that now.
I'm trying. I'm trying to learn it, because some of these guys were that have reached out to me. The amount of people that have reached out to me since I've started this podcast and want to be on here has blown my mind. There were people that I was like, I can't believe that you'd have anything to do with me, because I just always pictured myself that, yeah, I'm not Ian Rotten, but I was his enabler. I was his right hand man. I was, you know, I wasn't
Yeah,
the
I get
guy
what you
holding the
mean.
gun, but I was the guy driving the getaway vehicle kind of thing. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Fair enough.
so I wore that burden like it was my crime to do time for. If you understand what I'm saying. So,
Yeah, you
um,
punish yourself then, and I don't. You got to stop that. You got to realize that, like, I guess you are realizing that, like, not to dwell on it, but you're fucking great, Jim Fannin. Damn it, feel
well,
good. Feel good about your
thank
fucking self.
thank you. But that was definitely like the meanest thing that he did to me that I can
Yeah,
just think of off the top of my head was you know, just the to make that he had to beat down the point that, you know, I couldn't claim anything. Nothing was
yeah. I got you.
nothing
Yeah,
was nothing was mine, and I was nothing without him, kind of thing. And so his way of keeping me in my place.
okay.
And the things that he would say and do to other people, just The man had
Yeah.
a talent to know the exact thing to say to somebody at the
Yeah.
exact right time to just make them feel like the littlest person on the face of God's green earth.
Yeah, that's the vibe I always got. Um, okay, but to move past that for a moment, what was your opinion of the Chikara wrestlers when they were first brought into the IWA? Like, what the fuck is this, or like, what did you think, or
That,
yeah,
um, I mean, love Eddie Kingston, love Claudio Castagnoli. Um, the rest of them, a goddamn fucking joke. I could
gotcha,
not
yeah,
could not stand that bullshit. And fine, do what you want, but it's definitely not my cup of tea. And I'll tell this one story because you probably don't have it on there. Um, Managing Chandler McClure. Well, I was not managing Chandler McClure. Chandler McClure was having a tryout to whether or not I would manage him.
yeah.
And he's trying out for the Fannin family, and I'm supervising but not managing his performance in this match, and he's wrestling whatever the fuck that dumbass construction worker clown gimmick was.
With a goofy fucking mask with the buck
Clown
teeth,
mask, clown
Shane
mask,
Shane Storm.
Storm. He's working that kid in Highland, Indiana. And his gimmick is, he holds up the stop sign and the opponent will stop, and that'll then allow him to take control of the match, whatever. We're going over the match in the locker room, and I look to Chandler and I say, Chandler, if that dumb fuck picks up that stop sign and you stop, I'm going to take that stop sign from him and I'm going to beat him to death with it. And then I'm going to shove it sideways up your ass for selling for it. And he's like, Jim, that's what he does. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck what he does. He's not doing it against me. If you go out there and you sell for that, we are done. And I'm killing the both of you. And then I'm walking back here because I'm fighting for control of this fucking company, and I cannot be with somebody
Okay, that was like
so fucking stupid that they would fucking stop because some dumb fuck in a clown mask that also has a construction vest on holds up a stop sign. If you're dumb enough to fucking stop for that, you can't be with me, and I can't be associated with it because how the fuck am I going to win control of the company if I'm that fucking stupid to be with somebody that fucking stupid? And he was like, okay, we won't do it. And I'm like, make sure you don't fucking do it. And so they didn't fucking do it. And I could see the look on the other kid's face, even through his little fucking dumbass clown mask, going, oh, but this is what we do. And I'm like, do it with whoever the fuck you want to do it with, but you're not doing it with me.
yeah.
And I've heard people that, oh, you can't take yourself so seriously, but if anybody's going to buy a ticket to see me, I know I'm nobody, but they have to believe a certain part of what I am if they're going to buy a ticket to come out and see me. And I can't be that goddamn stupid. And so I wanted no part of it. And it was that way with all of their shit. I would take Mickey to a couple. I took Mickey to a couple of the Chikara shows. Drove her from Louisville out to Philadelphia, so Mike Quackenbush wouldn't have to buy a plane ticket. He could just throw some gas money, and I'd drive her out there. And then I'd have to watch a fucking time traveling goddamn knight wearing a fucking t-shirt that somehow is actually armor that when you hit would break your arm and your hand, and it's a fucking t-shirt and he's a time traveling fucking no. and then I'd have to watch a goddamn fucking Christmas tree come out and wrestle a goddamn fucking mummy. No, I did not drive 12 fucking hours one way to go and watch that bullshit. I'm not 3 years old. No, absolutely not. And after the second time I did it, I was like, I am sorry, Mickey. I love you to death, but I do not love you enough to drive that goddamn far and watch that. And no, I can't do it. So I'm not sure if he started flying her or he found other people for her to ride out with, or if she just lost them. I don't know. But I couldn't do it.
Speaking of Chikara wrestlers, what did you think of Chuck Taylor?
I actually was okay with Chuck Taylor. I'm not anti-comedy in wrestling. You know, Nick Mann, anytime I go on a comedy
fucking brawl, you had a fucking sports brawl.
Anytime I go onto one of these comedy rants, you know, Nick Mann will go, "You wore a fucking bra." And I'm like, okay, I wore a fucking bra once on a show where literally 12 matches were guys beating each other to fucking death. And then there was
what is the match that they remember the most of that whole show? And what is the moment that is brought up the most? Fucking Jim Fannin titties out.
And here's the story behind that. It actually made sense in the story because that was in Lafayette, Indiana.
Whose idea was it for you to wear that?
Mine. And I'm about to say why.
Hell yeah.
Lafayette, Indiana. Maybe not the show before that, but one like that was like in the fall. That was in the fall. One or two shows in Lafayette, Indiana before that was the match where it was like me, Boz, and Danny Daniels against Steve Stone and Ian Rotten in a handicap match. I'm wearing the Gymomania tank top. I pin Ian Rotten fair and square, clean in the middle of the ring without the help of anybody. I pin Ian Rotten in the ring. The entire time at the show, the crowd is yelling at me that I need to wear a bra because my tits are bouncing in the tank top.
Great tits, though, Jim. You have great tits.
You're damn right I have great tits. I'm in the tank top. The crowd is chanting, you know, wear a bra and all this stuff, you know, and stuff like that. Give the people what they want. Later on, I take the shirt off. Oh my God, I've got the bra on. And it pops the crowd. It makes sense. There's a story behind it. There's a purpose behind it. Happened once. Not every single goddamn match.
That whole match, it just ramped up the absurdity into it just reached that fucking point where you take your shirt off and it's like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
right. So there is a time and a place. I have ranted on here, and everybody that knows me knows I cannot stand Orange Cassidy. I think it's the worst fucking thing that's ever been on television with how stupid it is. But it was fantastic when he was just a little sidekick that wasn't a wrestler, and they pull the ladder out from under the ring, and he'd just be sleeping on the ladder. Ha 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 ha! That's funny. Oh, people are brawling around the building, and they kick open the door to the bathroom, and he's just randomly standing in a bathroom. That's funny. Ha ha ha! But when you get in the ring, and your whole gimmick is, ha ha, wink wink, this is fake. Fuck you. I have no desire to watch any of that. And people are like, I have my friends that'll sit there and go, oh, well, you know, it's a mind game and it tricks the heel and it's really smart and you just don't understand it. And like, the heel is a fucking dumbass because he's done it more than once. So you should fucking know that he's going to do it. And you should fucking not be, oh, whoa, geez, I've never seen anything like this before. Oh, is he serious? Oh, what do we do? Oh, I'm just going to stand here. No, He puts his fucking hands in his pockets. He's dead. You drop him. It's a fucking fight. So
fucking
why the
Bull Payne and Orange Cassidy? That would have been a great match.
If I win the lottery, if I would have won that $2 billion Powerball, I'm setting a few $1,000,000 aside to work solely on a time machine so I could go back and send him to 1997 IWA and put him into the ring with Bull Payne just so I could watch Bull Payne show the entire world this is what you do when the motherfucker puts his goddamn hands in his pockets standing in front of you. And that's just how it is, you know.
Besides Bull Payne, who are some of the most intimidating regulars in IWA that were in the locker room during your time there? Like I'm not gonna say anything to this motherfucker. Like, I'm leaving him alone. Like, was there anybody on Bull Payne's level at all?
Bull Payne was on a level to himself. He was the only one that I was scared to death of, and that I would not cross.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that I thought I could beat up anybody.
Trust me, I get you.
Trust me, I could not beat up. I couldn't beat up you, okay? But my thing was my thing was I'm not going to let anybody push me around. I'm not going to let anybody try to intimidate me. I'm not going to lose the respect of the locker room because I was the boss. Or a boss, not the boss. I don't want Ian Rotten coming at me and going, motherfucker, it's my show or not your show. I'm the boss, not you. I was a boss. And so I was not going to let anybody intimidate me. But Bull Payne, I would not say shit to. Necro Butcher, I would not. Yeah. When we did the match with Necro Butcher, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's me and Dingo against Ian and Necro.
No, that is one match that I saw that happened. I think it's on IWTV. I've not seen it, no.
So I wanted to do. Have you ever seen Benny Hill? The TV show Benny Hill.
My dad had DVDs and shit when I was growing up. I know like the zany shit.
Okay, but you've seen Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
So Scooby-Doo did the same thing that Benny Hill did, just in cartoon form, where you do the chase. And, and you go in and out. You go in and outdoors. You go in and outdoors. And as you go out in one door, you're in one order. And you come out the other door, and somehow everybody's in a different order. And like, I don't know if Scooby-Doo did it this way, but I know Benny Hill that I grew up watching. Like, not only would you be in a different order when you came through the second door, like, you'd be wearing the other people's clothes. Yeah. And somehow you'd switch up clothes, and then you go out another door, and then you come back out another door, and you're in a different order and different clothes. So I wanted to do this, and I wanted Smart Mark to put the fucking music to it, the whole Benny Hill music theme behind it, and Smart Mark wouldn't do it. Probably a copyright thing or something. So I don't blame.
They had all the music they used on all those DVDs.
Right. So I'm not going to blame them. I'm going to excuse it. Not going to blame them on it. But two things I wanted music for in my career, and pissed that Smart Mark didn't do it. And I would love for somebody to go back and just do the goddamn clip for me with the music. Hint, hint, wink, wink, tripping balls, who has the capabilities of doing such thing. I want the Benny Hill chase scene from that match to the Benny Hill music. I don't know the name. Yakety Sax, I think, is the name.
From the Necro Tag that you were part of?
The Necro Tag. Yeah. When we do the chase around the building and go outside and come back in and we're doing that, I want that to the Benny Hill music. Do that for me. And then the second thing that I fucking wanted and begged for and they wouldn't do, probably because they weren't the ones that filmed it. It was one of the Dark Mark video shows that happened. It's the loser leave town cage match, Danny Daniels versus Chris Hero. To this day, even though I hate that motherfucker,
It's like a Christmas show.
I don't think it was Christmas, but it was in Highland, Indiana. Smart Mark Video did not come in to film it, so this dude named John Barley that had done like recordings, some of the shows in like 97, 98, 99, periodically had recorded for Ian. Ian reaches
but where
out
were
to
those
him.
shows released? Like, how were they released?
I think Smart Mark released them and they were on Smart Mark.
Okay, they just didn't film.
For whatever reason, Smart Mark did not fly in. There might have been a closer show that they felt was a bigger show and they didn't want to spend the money to come out and do ours, or they didn't have the manpower. I forget exactly what it was, but there was like 2-3 months. It was, and it affected my best stuff. The Olytic tag match against Road Dogg and Trick Davis, me and Ryan Boz versus Trick Davis and Road Dogg. That was a dark mark video. And I mean, as soon as you look at it, you can barely see what the fuck's going on. It's so dark. So that's why they call it dark mark video. And then the same thing with the Highland show that I'm talking about. I don't know the name of the actual show, but it should be easy to find. Danny Daniels, Chris Hero, loser leave town cage match.
It's a Put Up or Shut Up, January 17th, 2004, Lincoln Center.
Okay, so we know it's that match. That is the best performance I ever had as a manager, even though I hate that fucking prick and I hope he dies a miserable fucking death. And
I do have a question about him later at some point.
Okay. But anyway, and it pains me, and it's part of the reason why I want to do a goddamn comeback, just so I can try to have a better performance. Because right now he gets to claim my best job ever as a manager. That cage match, and again, it's fucking dark mark video, so you can't see it. The video like never picks it up. But that entire goddamn match, that was when I was bringing the briefcase full of weapons and stuff. And so I've got pliers, I've got screwdrivers, I've got everything. And the entire match, I'm working the bottom of that cage. And I'm trying to find a way to break the links, that fasteners that hold the cage together, so I can try to get into the cage. And the whole match, I'm fucking with this cage, and I'm fucking with this cage, and I'm trying to find a way to get in. Before the match starts, Chris Hero's music's playing. He takes the 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes, whatever the fuck it always was, before he would come out. He had to wait to that certain part of the song of, to hit with the kryptonite before he would walk through that curtain. And I'm over at the, Allison Danger and Dave Prazak are doing commentary. And I run over and I grab the microphone away and I get onto commentary and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen listening at home, soak in this moment. This is the last time you fucking hear this song in IWA Mid South, because Chris Hero's out of here. And Allison Danger's sitting there and she's going, I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps as I'm cutting this promo. And then I get to the ring and I'm, like I said, I'm working this fucking cage for all I've got. And I'm trying to find a way. How do I do this? How am I going to get it in? How am I going to get it in? I don't have the proper tools to break the cage because I don't want to pay to fix the cage. So I can't, that doesn't work. But by God, by the end of that match, I figure out, and of course anybody could figure it out, but the way the cage came together, there was just wide enough of a gap over the ring post that I could hand the chair right through the cage, through the opening that was created in the corner because of the way that the cage got put together. Yeah. And I get the chair in there, and then we throw the fireball, and we beat Chris Hero. And Chris Hero leaves IWA. And they filmed Chris Hero walking his bag out the back door of the Highland building, walking away in dejection. And I begged and I pleaded, put the Incredible Hulk walk away music to that fucking scene, and it would make it perfect. He is the fucking Chris hero. He is your hero, and he is walking away, leaving. And that song is the saddest goddamn song that you'll ever hear. Have you watched the TV show? Did you ever watch the TV show?
Yes,
Incredible
yeah.
Hulk?
My dad showed me some of the old Incredible Hulk shit with Lou Ferrigno.
So
Shit.
you know the song. Do, 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 do.
Very vaguely, yes, yeah.
And it would have been perfect. Put it in there. It would have made the whole thing. Would not do it. Would not do it. So find me footage of that damn show. I don't need the whole match because, like I said, maybe the little promo at the beginning where I gave Allison Danger goosebumps, but then I want Chris Hero walking away to the damn Incredible Hulk walk away music.
I'll have to find that show. I'm gonna have to search that. Jim, what color are Super Dragon's eyes?
Which Super Dragon? There was like 19 of them in the one match.
Oh, come on. Super Dragon. What color what color hair does Super Dragon have? Is he a handsome man? I've always like is he an ugly motherfucker? Like I always wonder. I always wonder about that guy. He's been very secret.
I could tell you, but then I would have to kill you.
Oh shit. Okay, that's the Super Dragon curse. I feel you.
I will say this about Super Dragon. I absolutely loved Super Dragon.
Yeah, I heard you bring him up, being in a car with him and Candido and some other people.
Yes. Yeah, it was one of those quad shot weekends, and my grandmother had a van, and so I would always use her van on those weekends because I'd have literally 6, 7 guys and their gear in this van, and we would drive through every podunk Indiana town, and Super Dragon maybe said 4 words. The entire 1 word a day you might hear out of Super Dragon, and it would only be when the rest of the guys were like, dude, are you going to say anything? Do you talk? What's wrong with you? And he was very protective of his gimmick.
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, yeah, yeah. Always.
He was a very
one of the last guys like that is so protective about that shit.
And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Wanted him in the Fannin family. Begged for it. Wanted him in the Fannin family. His curb stomp is next to Arn Anderson's spine buster. Super Dragon's curb stomp is like my favorite move ever.
Oh fuck yeah! That's so many DVDs just the fucking stomp. Yeah.
I would have done anything to have had Ian agree to let him be in the Fannin family and for me to get to do a curb stomp with him on somebody. Or like me have one guy and him have another and we curb stomp together. Would have done anything in the world at that point to have been able to have done that. If there was anything I could have done to Jimmy Jacobs other than the barbed wire bat, it would have been the curb stomp. That's how much I loved the curb stomp. But continue on. You had another question.
Shit, I have so many questions. Let me just pick one. Why were tag team titles so inconsistent in IWA? Was it just because they didn't have belts? Like there'd be like a year or there wasn't tag champs or like you know what I'm saying? Like what was the deal there?
No straps was a very important part of it. The other very important part of it was how many people have to be involved in a tag title match.
4.
How many have to be involved in a singles match?
Yeah, yeah. Touche.
Okay.
Okay.
When you're only drawing 20 paid people, 40 paid people, you can't really afford a tag match on the show unless it's 2 different singles matches have some kind of a beef that you then bring back so that you can, have an extra match. without having to have extra wrestlers. So that was the majority of it, just not being able to afford it. I mean, that's why Vince McMahon didn't really do a lot tag wrestling wise after the big boom, when you had all the great tag teams, the Hart Foundation, the Bulldogs, the Rougeaus, and the Rockers, and you had like all of the great tag teams, and then they all had managers, and then all of a sudden there's no managers. You just randomly throw singles wrestlers together as a tag and put them out there just so that you have less people that you got to pay and less people that have jobs in the company. And Vince McMahon can become richer, and Ian Rotten can play another can have another hand of blackjack, because he had one less hot dog to give out at the end of the day for a payday to somebody.
Okay, you talked about thinking that the Chikara guys were silly and all that shit. What was your opinion of Milano Collection AT when he was brought in for IWA with the invisible dog gimmick, and he's an Italian fashion model? Was that all just bullshit to you, or were you like, hey, this guy's all right?
Tell you the truth, if you put a picture of him up on the screen right now, I wouldn't know who.
Okay, that's fair.
I know the name.
He was in the main event with Hero of the Mania Weekend 06 when they ran that show, the We're No Joke show.
Right.
I don't know if that rings any bells.
I know the show. And like I say, I know the name.
Yeah.
I might have even been on commentary for the match. I couldn't tell you.
I just didn't know, because he had such a silly gimmick. I didn't know if you remembered it.
As you mentioned, that was 2006.
Yeah. WrestleMania 06.
Anything after War Games, spotty at best. When it comes
what are your memories of working with like Dingo? Do you have positive memories of Dingo? That was after that time period. You had a lot of shit with him. Stuff with him, not shit. It wasn't shit. Good.
So, like I said earlier with Michael Z, and how Michael Z deserved a better version of me.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Dingo definitely deserved a better version of me. I enjoyed working with him. 2-3 of my matches are teaming with Dingo. Kind of deal. And I liked working with him. He was a talented guy. I was not doing my best work at that point, not even close to doing my best work at that time. And I apologize to Dingo if he probably will never listen to this, but if anybody hears this and knows Dingo and wants to send him a clip of this, or just say that I offered my apologies to him, because
I think he recently retired. He was up in the St. Louis area still wrestling some spots.
Okay. Well, didn't he have like a bad neck injury at some point or something?
I don't know about, but I
thought I had heard that he had like this bad neck injury and had retired like years ago, but then I saw his name resurface, and so maybe
I think he may have come back for a couple matches.
Maybe he came back or something, but I thought he was really good. I liked working with him. He would let me do pretty much whatever I wanted to do. He didn't have a problem with any of it, but he definitely deserved a better version of me. So like Michael Z deserved better, Dingo deserved better. A lot of the guys in the locker room that era deserved better from me. But that was definitely the era that I just gave zero fucks and did not want to be there. Made sure everybody knew that I did not want to be there, and was pretty much just leave me the fuck alone. I'll show up 20 minutes before I have to, and I'll leave the second I can. era of Jim Fannin, so he deserved so much better than that. And you know, I shouldn't have been there, but I was there, so I should have, I should have, I should have done better, but I did not. Um,
Do
so
you any memories of Brandon Profit? I know he was getting his head beaten in by all the deathmatch guys for about a year there in IWA. He had that razor board match with Corp. Do you have any memories of him during that time period?
so with my memories of Brandon Profit, he was a kid that came in, and he was right at the very beginning of my dissension into the downward spiral that I had. Um, One of my first memories of him was that he had that brutal match with Corporal Robinson. I think it was Corporal on the same show that I had the barbed wire bat shot with Jimmy Jacobs, because I think the name of that show was Edge of Insanity, where they did
Yeah,
like the razor board or razor wire. Was it razor board or razor wire?
it was
Do you remember?
the razor blade board,
Razor
the
blade
razor
board.
blade stuck in the styrofoam board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he had like that match,
And
and
Corp knocks him out like during the match before they even get to the razor boards. He's completely knocked unconscious. It was a brutal stuff.
yeah. So I mean, I wasn't around him a lot, because right after that happened, you know, Ian put me in timeout, and so there was a few there was like several shows that I was not at, after that happened, and but Brandon Profit was a guy that all the courage in the world.
Yeah. Oh
He came
yeah.
in here, he took a beating, and he won my respect. Okay, because he did shit that I wouldn't be willing to do. There was a lot of crazy stuff that I agreed to do in IWA, but not enough money in the world for me to have done some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember trying. He There wasn't a lot of people that, like, I wouldn't go and offer my opinion to people. I have an opinion on everything, but I'm not.
I've
I'm gonna wait.
noticed.
I'm gonna wait for, like, I'm not just gonna go up to a guy in the locker room and force my opinion on him. So he was one of the ones that I'm I'm introverted. I've got a podcast. I performed on a show in front of tens of people, for 12 years. So you might not think that I'm introverted, but I am an introverted person. So you have to pull me out of my shell if I'm not in a certain surrounding that I'm comfortable with. And if I don't know you, you're going to have to pull it out of me until I get a comfort level.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm the same. I'm the same way. I hear that. So
Kind of
I guess
thing. So,
Brandon did
but
that. He was
but
able
but
to.
Brandon, was one that was like, hey man, and maybe it was because I was office. You know, it's one of those you never really know
He's
with
probably watching you on the
something,
DVDs
but
and shit. Probably saw you. He probably
and
watched you,
there
respected you.
was there was some folks that are blowing smoke up your ass, but he seemed like a genuine guy, and he wanted to do this kind of stuff, and he wanted to get better at it, and he should have been treated better by some of the guys just thought he was a goof because of some of the but
Yeah, yeah,
you know if you're not the most talented guy, then you have to do the crazier shit in order to get the attention, you
yeah.
know because how are you going to get somebody's, with all the crazy shit and all the people that almost died in an IWA ring, and the the people that we had on our show? How are you going to stand out, especially as a younger guy trying to break in? How are you going to stand out? How are you going to get your name known? How are you going to take it to where you can move to the next the next step up and make a name for yourself, you have to try to top.
Jump into razor blades.
You got to jump into razor blades, and it's not a recommended career choice by any means, but the person that decides that's what they want to do, show them the same respect that you would expect for yourself. Because let me tell you, when I tell people at my shoot job what I used to do, and I explain to them what the people I was around used to do, thumbtacks, light tubes, barbed wire, leeches, lobsters.
The lobsters.
That gets the same what the fuck look that razor blades on a board get.
Yeah.
To the average person, you're all fucking nuts. And my boss, why would you do that, James? Why would you do that? And I'm like, why not? It was what we did.
It was the 90s, man.
And so the way that guys treated him, and I can't remember exactly what happened for Corp to knock Brandon Prophet out, if it was an accident, what it was, but
I think that he was on the message boards back then. I think he had a reputation from some whatever shit. It is one of those sort of stories, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, and it's just, let's take liberties on the young kid.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. Okay, it should not have happened. And it's one of it's that kind of stuff where I said earlier, I tried to carry the burden of the crime, even though I wasn't the one committing it. I was the one allowing it to happen, kind of thing. And so I carry the guilt with it. I should have stepped in and not allowed something like that to happen. But that was the beginning of my downward spiral. And that's not to say that I would have done, like, if it was 2 years earlier, that's not to say that I would have been standing there going, hey, don't do that, treat him better. But, that's what I should have done. So that's what I think when I think and hear the name Brandon Prophet.
That was an incredibly detailed, awesome answer. You're very good at this, Jim. It's been you waited too long to start this thing. You're good at the podcasting stuff. But what was it like working with Barbarian? They brought him in and you managed him against Jimmy Jacobs. Do you have any memories of Barbarian?
My memories, not all that much specifically to that. I grew up watching Crockett. So I grew up watching the Barbarian in Paul Jones's army. So to me, I love the fact that I got to have Paul Jones's army in the Fannin family. I thought that I really liked that. I
grew the mustache in that Paul Jones had.
Nah, that was a little much, but I grew up watching the Barbarian, so I love that. I really wish, there's so many things that have the Jimmy Jacobs stuff, the Mickey Knuckles stuff, a lot of that kind of stuff. I truly wish that we would have had maybe not a 2-hour Saturday night TBS show, but I really wish that we had the
90 minutes, maybe
even just the hour, like the UWF world class hour syndicated TV show that could have ran in the markets that we did shows in, just so that all the towns could know what was going on, and we could have done a better. We sucked at we did not have social media presence. People that knew how to put the videos together. Like if we had a Trippin Balls in 2005 and the social media ability, platforms that exist now, we'd have been a lot bigger than what we were. Because because we may not have been we may not have been on the local TV, but we could have had it on YouTube. We could have had that kind of stuff on YouTube that people could go and follow along and know all the stories.
But do you think Ian would have allowed that stuff to be released for free?
We did enough fucking TV taping shows that were not legit that you could have just used that footage on the damn YouTube stuff. But
yeah,
but even like,
because I remember being in the crowd at IWA shows in 2020, and Ian would be like, "Don't be recording stuff. Don't be filming this whole match. Don't be posting too much on your shit." It's like, I'm just trying to I want to post a clip of this man getting hit in the testicles with a flaming weed whacker and talk about how cool it is. Let me talk about it.
Well, again, he was stuck in a time that he was not suited for, and he would, if there was a bad decision to be made, he would make it. So yeah, he probably would not have allowed, but still, in a perfect world, there would have been a way that we could have had this, because I purposely, and you were too young and probably not even on the message boards at the point, but I kept saying, because Jimmy Jacobs, Huss, the Berserker, John Nord, the Barbarian. So I was playing it off like, I'm bringing in your childhood hero. And maybe two people on the fucking message board were smart enough to go, hey, dumbass, Jimmy Jacobs is the Berserker Barbarian, not this Barbarian. And that's what I wanted I wanted the people to playing stupid,
Yeah.
That's the stupid that I would allow myself to do, and no one's picking up on it, and I can't then sit there and go, hey, dumbass, that's why I'm doing it. That's where you need the TV show, so the commentators can sit there and go, Jim Fannin's so out of touch with reality and so off the deep end that he doesn't even know the difference between the Berserker and the Powers of Pain Barbarian. Two different guys, and that's where you needed that kind of stuff so that people could go, ha ha, you're an idiot, and get behind it. And it was lost opportunities. And so I loved getting to have that opportunity to work with him. It wasn't on the same scale as Dusty Rhodes or Terry Funk or Chris Candido or, but I love the fact that I got to manage the Barbarian, and then 2 seconds after the Barbarian rolls out the ring, Tracy Smothers, baby. And, those are the kind of things that I can look back on and be like, okay, all of the lost money, all of the headaches, all of the guilt, all of the negativity, I got that out of it. So it wasn't all bad, so I love the fact that I got to work with the Barbarian. I just really wish that there was a way that we had the marketing behind it, that they could have done the, hey, dumbass, wrong Barbarian,
Okay, to same time period as Barbarian was brought in, they were doing the IWA Deep South feud. What was your take on that? The gentleman who ran IWA Deep South in that promotion and that whole interpromotional feud.
To this day, I couldn't tell you what that guy's name is.
Kevin Brannon. He's a real piece of shit, Jim. Let me tell you.
Okay,
he's developed quite a reputation.
I know absolutely nothing about him. I just had Tank on the podcast. Had no idea that Tank won something called the IWA Deep South King of the Death Matches. Had no idea. Yeah. Until I started looking at Cage Match to get topics to talk about with Tank.
Yeah.
Had no idea. To this day, I've never seen IWA Deep South. Couldn't tell you anything about it. Couldn't tell you anything about the guy. I know I've seen when people announce that they're working for him. I've seen people on Twitter be like, why are you working for that guy? Have no idea what he did to get to that.
He's at a poop gym. He's a poop fetishist. He has a gimmick. He's never trained as a wrestler. He puts a mask on, calls himself Boris Dookie.
Okay.
And he'll wrestle in like the shit apocalypse. Like
do you listen to the Tony Schiavone podcast?
Oh, does he talk about Boris Dookie?
No, but there's here's a little bit. Of course, I grew up watching Crockett, loved Tony Schiavone and David Crockett. My favorite commentary combo of all time. David Crockett.
So I feel like poop? Is Schiavone in the poop?
No.
Okay.
But when Tony Schiavone started doing the podcast with Conrad Thompson, I listened to it when it was just like them talking about that stuff that I grew up watching. And then Tony Schiavone parlayed that into AEW. And so when that was going on, that time frame version of Jim Fannin was like, I wonder if one day I can do a podcast and then maybe I can get back in. And that was really like the first time that I had ever had that thought in probably 10 years, maybe at that point. And so like, I was like, I can model, maybe I can have that arc on a much smaller scale, granted, as Tony Schiavone. Well, on the Tony Schiavone podcast, at least back, like, he started talking way too much about AEW, and so I stopped, and I haven't listened since then. So I don't know if they've gone away from that or what they're doing with it now. But I can't exactly remember. I think the guy's name was like Klondike Bill or something like that. But it was a ring crew guy from the Crockett days.
Yes, yeah, I know.
I think it was Klondike Bill, but Tony Schiavone would talk about it and say that he would like, his fetish was he would lay on the floor underneath like a glass end table and have a woman shit over the top of him on this glass end table, and he'd be underneath looking up watching her shit.
Have you heard the Jimmy Valiant stories of he liked to, there's a story of Jimmy Valiant being under the glass table. There's a prostitute, she shits on the table. Rock and Roll Express walk in the room. Ricky Morton vomits, but Robert's like, hell yeah, let me stay around and watch.
I have not heard that story. I have not heard that story.
I'm going to send you the cartoon of. There's a whole drawing of it. It's fucking hilarious.
But I think like they would talk about it so much on the early days of because it was like, what happened when the such and such happened, you know.
On his face.
But like the theme song was set to the tune of "We Didn't Start the Fire," and so it like had like all these things. So like the best stories that they would tell was like Klondike Bill with the shit fetish, and then I think it was even the Barbarian. I should have started this when you brought up the Barbarian. Evidently, like Tommy Young was gay, which I didn't even know until I started listening to.
Oh, you ever listen to his interviews?
And never had heard him talk. Never heard. I just liked him as a ref, and I thought he did a great job.
Awesome.
As a ref. Oh yeah. Never heard him talk. Didn't know anything about him, you know. Yeah. And then Tony Schiavone starts talk about how, like when the Barbarian found out that Tommy Young was gay, I think that's how it went. But it was something with like, the Barbarian would go, "Tommy Young, get over here and jack me off," and so he would say it to him like all the time at the show or something like that. So like in the theme song in the opening, like in the song, it's like, you know, in like the we didn't start the fire. It's like Red China, Johnny May, South Pacific, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. Like in the song, it's like Tommy Young, get over here instead of Marilyn Monroe and stuff. And it would just crack me up every week listening to it.
Never heard that.
You're gonna have to listen to the theme song to Tony Schiavone's "What Happened When" podcast. At least back then, like I don't know if it's still the same thing, but yeah, it was. I think it even had something about Klondike Bill and the shit in there, but then it also had the Barbarian going, "Tommy Young, get over here."
Oh shit. Okay, let me pick
But yeah, I have no all that to say that I have no thoughts on IWA Deep South. I was not a fan. I was never a fan of the promotional war stuff because I always wanted IWA Mid South to win everything when it was like I didn't want to put anybody over if it was a promotion war. I hated doing to this day. I hate the fact that Mitch Page had to lose to Nick Gage in that King of the Death 2003 King of the Death.
03, yeah.
That pisses me off to this day that I had to do it. And I had Mike Burns laughing.
You need him on the podcast. Fuck everybody, get him on here. Somebody who's never been here, dude.
I had Mike Burns dying laughing because he was doing like the roaming fan cam ringside, and the whole time I'm screaming because like Nick Gage in that match has like a trickle of blood on his back, and that's it. And against Mitch, and the whole match I'm just going, I dare that motherfucker to fucking bleed. It's King of the Death matches. I dare that motherfucker to sell and to have any blood. And Burns is just laughing his ass off trying to hold the camera steady as he's like trying to walk around me ringside, and I'm just fucking livid that entire match. Livid when Samoa Joe came in and beat Chris Hero. So livid that I refused to watch the match. I stayed in the locker room and wouldn't go out there. And to this day, I have not watched that match. I had goosebumps listening to the crowd in the locker room, but to this day, I have never watched that match because I'm so mad that Ring of Honor was put over IWA in the franchise versus franchise match. Hated it. Hated it. So the answer is, if IWA Deep South won a single match in that feud, I hated
it. Deep South or
whatever.
You talked about the leech match earlier. Like, who? This is another stupid question. Who the fuck is in charge of obtaining leeches in the situation? Where do you go for leeches? Is that like a fishing store?
I think they went to a bait shop. I think there was like some I think there was some bait shop that somebody knew, and they were like, "Hey man, this bait shop has leeches. What do you think of doing leeches in a match?" And you know, Ian and me, we loved the movie Stand By Me. And in that movie, they have the scene where they have get the leeches on them when they try to cut through the swamp in order to save time because they're trying to get to, I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie Stand By Me?
No, that is something. I have a lot of big gaps in movies, and that's something, especially with Rob Reiner's dying, that I've been meaning to check that.
Fantastic movie. So it's a coming of age.
It seems so sentimental, and like I don't want to fucking cry, man. I don't want to cry.
So it's these childhood friends. They find out that there's like a missing kid that's their age.
Yeah.
And they overhear their older brothers that are misfits and criminals were out doing up to no good, and they found the kid's dead body on these railroad tracks. Way out in the middle of nowhere, and where the kid obviously like walked the railroad tracks and was doing something like picking berries or something, I think. And the train hits him and kills the kid. So these kids decide that it's their last hurrah, the last time. A couple of them were going to have to move, so it was like their last time together. They went to find this dead kid, and they cut through a swamp to try to get there faster, and they end up getting leeches all over them. And the one kid, he ends up like opening up his underwear and he sees he's got a leech on his dick and he passes out and stuff. And so it's like an iconic part of this movie that we both liked. And so when they were like, "Oh, let's do leeches," and we're like, "Yeah, it could be just like in Stand by Me kind of thing." And one of those again, Ian was probably high when someone brought it up to him, and then we just equate it to that movie, and okay, let's do it. And so we try it, and I mean, it's not that great of a visual.
What the
So
fuck, man? With the leech
really
to his head, that was an incredible visual. That was horrifying.
okay. Well, uh,
in
as
my
you heard,
opinion.
as you heard, Mitch hated it. So Mitch is
The
my
leeches weren't the
Mitch is
leeches weren't
Mitch is
doing shit. The leeches added nothing until they got stapled to the fucking head. But the visual of the
Mitch is
leech
my
stapled to the head is
Mitch is my
terrifying.
ride or die. So if Mitch didn't like it, I'm not gonna like it. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up another edition of Fannin's Flashbacks. I would like to thank Tripping Balls for joining me today. These next two episodes are also going to feature the conclusion of this marathon recording that Tripping Balls and I did. I truly hope you continue to tune in those 2 weeks as we discuss all things IWA Mid-South centered around my experiences. If you run wrestling shows in the Kentucky, Tennessee, Southern Indiana, Ohio area, you need to be bringing in Tripping Balls and Nick Manawa for your commentary team. After Jess B's Knees does her commentary debut at Girl Fight Wrestling on February the 15th in New Albany, Indiana, you can be doing a 3-person booth or have Jess B's Knees doing backstage interviews like Missy Hyatt back in the day. I have acquired my Kentucky event staff license, so you can bring me in to manage or do commentary on those shows as well. I want you to remember to also check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/sportsfannin for IWA clips and matches and these podcasts. When you get to the YouTube channel, start by hitting that subscribe button, then take a look around and click like on some videos and leave some comments. Also, please give the other podcasts on the BNMVS network a listen if you haven't already. Reed Bentley, Nick Manawa, and Mike Ruff have some great stuff on here for you to listen to. If you are interested in vintage IWA Mid-South t-shirts, give my godson James Christopher a follow on Twitter at Candido24K_. And if you are looking to have some design work done for yourself, shoot James Christopher a DM. He does excellent work. You can follow me on Twitter at jfannin73 and on Instagram at IWAFannin73. And as I've posted everywhere online, I am now accepting bookings again. I have a bucket list of items that I didn't get to do before I left wrestling in 2009, so I'm trying to cross a few of those off the list. I want to manage Mickey Knuckles, whom I never got to manage in IWA, and I'm going to wish her a very speedy recovery as she just suffered an injury to her shoulder as this was being recorded this weekend. I want to manage John Wayne Murdoch and Reed Bentley. I want to do commentary with Nick Manawa, Tripping Balls, and maybe even one last time with Dave Prazak. So if you can help me accomplish any of those goals on your wrestling show, you can email me at bookjimfannin@gmail.com, and we will see you next time on the next episode of Fannin's Flashbacks. So let it be written, so let it be done. Good day.